They say the worst crimes leave no fingerprints, but mine left scars. I was standing in the rain the night they took me away. My shirt clung to my skin, my breath was sharp against the cold, and her perfume, faint like a ghost, still lingered in the air. I didn't resist the handcuffs. What was the point? Everyone already believed I was guilty. The truth was too messy, too unbelievable. The truth was, my crime wasn't murder, theft, or betrayal. My crime was simply that I loved her. It was late September, that strange season between endings and beginnings. The city smelled like wet leaves and dying summer, the air crisp enough to bite. I'd gone to the library that day not for books, but for quiet, the kind of quiet you can't buy in a city like ours. She was there, tucked into the corner by the tall window. Her sweater was the color of autumn leaves, sleeves pulled over her hands. She read like the world outside didn't exist. I didn't know her name yet, but something about her felt significant, like hearing the first note of a song you somehow already know. It started with a book, Anna Karenina. I was reaching for it. So was she. Our fingers brushed, and she smiled faintly. Careful, she said. That one breaks hearts. I smirked. And yet you're reading it? I like stories that hurt a little. We spoke for a few minutes about Tolstoy, about how she hated small talk but loved conversations with strangers, about how she always felt the world was rushing past her. I left that day not knowing her name, but knowing I would see her again. Her name was Clara, and she worked at the library 2 afternoons a week. I started visiting more often, pretending I was there for research, but really just waiting for those quiet, stolen conversations. She never spoke much about herself. No talk of family, no talk of friends. Sometimes she'd get this faraway look in her eyes, like she was staring at something behind me, something only she could see. And yet, when she laughed, a small, reluctant laugh, it felt like sunlight breaking through gray clouds. One night in November, she showed up at my apartment. It was raining hard, and her hair was plastered to her face. She didn't knock, just stood there in the hallway, trembling. I let her in without asking. She sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. For a long time, we didn't speak. Then she said, voice shaking, "You can't tell anyone about us. Not a soul." I promised I wouldn't. I didn't ask why. Maybe I was afraid of the answer. Weeks later, I found a photograph on the floor of her bag when she left it by my couch. It was her, standing beside a man I'd never seen before. His arm was around her waist, his smile too tight. On the back was written Ethan, summer 21. When I asked her about him, her face went pale. "He's no one. Don't bring him up again." Her tone was sharp, but I noticed her hands shaking. It was a Tuesday when the news broke. Ethan Morrill found dead. Homicide. Suspected. The name made my stomach drop. The photograph flashed in my mind. The article said he was found in his apartment. No signs of forced entry. Neighbors claimed they'd heard arguing days earlier. 2 hours later, I got a text from Clara. "We can't see each other for a while. Please trust me." She vanished after that. No calls. No messages. The library said she quit without notice. And then the police came. They said I'd been the last person seen with her on the night Ethan died. That a neighbor had spotted us walking together. They asked me if I knew where she was. I told them the truth. I didn't. But in their eyes, that made me guilty. The detective leaned across the table, his voice low and deliberate. "You really think she loved you? She used you, and now you're going to pay for what she did." I kept silent. If I defended her, it would sound like a confession. If I betrayed her, it would break me. The night before my arrest, I found an envelope slid under my door. Inside was a letter, no name, no address, just her handwriting. "Forgive me. You don't know the whole story. I didn't mean for you to get hurt. But if they ask, tell them nothing. Please. For me." There was a single dry drop of water on the paper. I don't know if it was hers or mine. They had no weapon, no witness, no proof, just suspicion. But suspicion is heavy enough to sink a man. My lawyer told me that if I cooperated, maybe I'd walk free. but cooperating meant giving her up. I told them nothing. Every day in court, I waited for her to walk in. She never did. I was convicted of obstruction of justice. 5 years. Enough time to rot. The judge said, "You shielded a killer." I wanted to tell him that I had shielded a girl with sad eyes and a laugh that could melt the frost from my bones. It's been 2 years now. Rain still smells like that night. Somewhere out there, she's alive. Maybe she thinks of me. Maybe she doesn't. But if you asked me whether I regret it, no. The world can call it a crime. I call it love.